Welcome to our live training session number 38, part 5. In this video, we're going to take a look at doing the cold start and warm-up enrichment tuning on day 2 here in our live training session, as well as looking at how to set up our two-step and anti-lag so we can build boost if we want to go launch at the drag strip. And we're going to be taking a look at a driving cycle log off of our chassis dyno so we can review some data, and I can give you some tips and tricks of how to apply proper changes if you're looking at a maybe 8, 10, or 20-minute style driving cycle data log, be able to process data a little bit quicker and be able to make your changes appropriately. So without further wait, let's jump into our live training session so we can get started. Welcome back to our live training session here with our turbocharged 8th gen Civic Si. In the last video, we mapped out our full throttle area of operation for our high cam. We've also set up the VTEC engagement point, and we have essentially tuned everything up to this point in the video. And I wanted to include doing a boost control tutorial, but unfortunately, the returnless fuel system on this car just simply isn't going to provide enough fuel with the 1000cc injectors and the upgraded fuel pump. So the next step for this vehicle, in order to make more power, is to upgrade the fuel system. Essentially just do the return line and get about another 50 to 100 horsepower out of this, and then continue on with actually doing the boost control. So I might get this car back at some point in time to maybe revisit this and add to this live training series to do the boost control tutorial. Also kind of taking a look at going from the return list to the return line setup. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know, again, with the filming, if I'll be able to achieve that or not, but I'll hopefully be able to add that into our training course here. Now, we're on day 2 of doing our live tuning session, and I've let the car sit overnight, so it's sat for 24 hours. It's ready to do a cold start. Now, some things about this that we need to keep in mind. When we did all of our tuning, taking a look here in our tables, all of the tuning we did in the main fuel tables, so either low or high cam, that represented an engine that's warm, that came up to operating temperature, so 170, 180 degrees or warmer. That's substantial because these tables do not characterize cold start when we have poor atomization of the fuel going into the engine. So when we fire off an engine cold, right now we can see, in fact, here it's approximately 60 degrees. In this condition, we're going to find the fuel's not going to atomize properly. It's not going to atomize as well as when the engine has some heat into it. Therefore, the fuel's going to stick to the intake track, it's going to stick to the intake valve, it's not going to get into the engine as efficiently. So we need to ramp up how much fuel we're actually adding in. Generally speaking, it's another maybe 30–40% to allow the engine to have a reasonable air fuel and be able to warm up properly. Now, once we get up to operating temperature, all of the warm-up enrichments are going to phase out essentially, and we're going to be operating here just on the values that we programmed in our table. Now, the key to this, coming back and taking a look at a cold start, is you always want to go and do your tuning first, then revisit all of the cold starting tables after you've done that tuning. We don't want to go and try to tackle cold start tuning, allowing it to warm up in the same day. It's just not going to work. You're not going to know when you start with a base calibration, as we did in the previous video, where the fuel's going to be at. Everything is going to be pretty much an unknown. So once you get that sorted out on a warm engine, then you can go and take a look now, again, at what the position we're at right now is cold engine, day 2, fire it up, see how it's going to run. Now, a couple other things I want to point out. You definitely want to let the car sit for at least 12 hours, if not a full 24, before you go to touch it again and try to do your cold start. You really only get one shot at this a day to be able to fire it up and allow it to crank to fire and run and see the process, see how the cranking fuel is going to be applied, seeing how the post-start and then the warm-up enrichment, and then finally, obviously, going back into the main table. So we can't see that if we fire up the engine and let's say it's here 60 degrees. We leave it sit for an hour or two, and let's say it's a real cold day and it comes down to 60 degrees again. That is not going to be the exact same kind of condition, even though the coolant temperature is going to say, let's say it's 60 degrees in both situations. You still have some heat in the intake manifold. Your air temperature here would be much higher. So it's going to be a combination of the coolant temperature obviously being low because the engine has been fired up, but the actual air temperature, the air density that's entering the motor, is all going to play a role. So we really only get about one shot a day at doing this. So it's important to maybe revisit maybe 2 or 3 times of this process. Now, when we fired it up in the last video, it fired up and ran. I really didn't have any issues, so I don't anticipate it probably having any issues in this video firing up and running, but we'll look at the process. When we did fire it up and have it start to run, we saw that we had a tremendous amount of short and long-term adding, about 25 to 30%, to get the air fuel back in line. So we'll see how it goes. If we notice that it's having a whole bunch of fuel being added here, that's going to be a dead indication that we need to jump into our warm-up enrichment table here. If we go under calibration, and we're going to move here under fuel, we're going to find here under the coolant temp compensation, we have a water temp. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.